now live. This is We are live.
All right.
I like this. We have 9 episodes. This is number 9. 8 has been in the books. It's the last one, might be, between 2023, 2022.
So we did 9 episodes in 2022.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I almost want to make it 10. Even 10, but yeah.
More consistent, maybe? I don't know. That's up to...
I think we did a pretty good job, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean...
We're bringing the relevant
Talk
news.
to us 9 episodes ago, I don't know.
Yeah, the first ones definitely got some feedback. The first 3 to 4 were little test runs.
You know what would be good? Is if we ran through all the articles at one point.
Oh, that's actually a good idea.
Maybe every 10. You go through, and you don't even have to say much. You just say what
every
the
quarter
article was, and kind of like a quick recap.
Yeah.
You'd see how it goes, what the headlines are saying.
Well, It's interesting because we talk about all the articles that we've talked about, but 2 weeks later, and then we're like, oh, that came to fruition, or we talked about it, and it didn't. And I'll start with agents gear up for a turbulent 2023.
Yikes.
Catches the eyeballs. Of course, is one of the top ones. A lot of agents are in that mindset, and this is why. And they provided some nice data. Medium days on the market, almost a month more. Price decreases, in other words, the amount of listing prices going down has jumped 20%. Mortgage rates almost doubled. Bidding wars are down 23%. Anyone that's been through a market cycle, so those are it's from Redfin and everything else. An agent that has been through this understands that they have to put in more effort. So this is really more about the agents that either you work with or their positivity or the way that they list the home. Everyone wants the highest price, but a lot of agents are getting all this information from real estate sources, and it's how you really deal with it. Do you bring it to the listing presentation and you present this stuff that clearly shows we have to adjust the price, or we can't list this high, or we rent it out, or, there has to be other options. So what do you hear as an agent? You see that as a title, and then you hear, obviously, the data.
Yeah, well, it couldn't get much more turbulent than 2022. So here we are at the end of the year. Everybody starts coming up with their predictions.
Yeah.
I mean... I would say it's pretty easy to say, oh yeah, it was turbulent in 2022, so it's going to be turbulent in 2023.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everybody...
How does an agent actually hear that? How do you think the average agent hears that, and then how do you actually hear that? Like the statistics that I just said.
I would say that some of those numbers seem low.
Yeah.
Besides doubling mortgage rates. I mean,
well, if you look across America, it's a little bit different.
You know what?
If you look in market, it's a little.
That is the biggest stat that jumps out to me is doubled mortgage rates from 1 year ago. And what would you expect from that? Turbulence.
Yeah.
So here we are
or
a year
uncertainty.
later.
Yeah.
Is the mortgage rate going to go from 6.3 to 12?
No.
No. So is there going to be as much turbulence because of rising mortgage rates? No.
Yeah.
So I would say that this year is much more of like a leveling off.
Yeah, it's stabilization.
Stabilization,
yeah.
Not turbulence.
Yeah.
So, after you're rocking around in a turbulent flight, then, it settles down.
And really the only reason it's turbulent is because it went down. That's it. All the metrics show the pricing went down and things like that. But I was actually thinking about this morning, gearing up for this, no pun intended, agents gearing up. And it's like when it's a good market, it's actually a seller's market.
Right.
And right now is a buyer's market, and they call it a bad market. So if I was a buyer, I would be like, well, actually, it's a great market to buy. I have the money. And these are the people that have been sitting on cash since 2020, and they're like, this isn't sustainable. And then they come in and they make their money.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
Or they just saved and this and that. That reminds me. In real estate, you meet buyers and sellers who hit the right time of the cycle.
Yeah.
And then you find ones that never hit the right time of the cycle.
Yeah.
And we were at a family dinner, and we were recalling that one of our family members always complains about being on the wrong side of the cycle. These are 7-year cycles.
Yeah.
So somebody, who got caught always buying at the top
Yep.
and selling at the bottom
Yep.
on every single house. Because remember, these houses are just basically like consumer items.
Yeah.
So you need a place to live. And some people get caught in these like parts of the cycle that it makes it, very tough for them.
Yeah.
Other people, it's like music to your ears when you meet these sellers and they're like, yeah, I did well on that house. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did well on that house. Like every
Yeah.
time that they ended up buying, it was at the bottom of the cycle. And every time that they sold, it was in a seller's market.
Yeah.
So it's just funny when you hear that, like I would say opportunity.
Yeah,
If you're
it's
a
a great
buyer,
opportunity.
if you're a first-time buyer,
Yeah.
this is your chance to get in on the right side of a cycle.
Yeah. I actually just emailed someone that she renewed her lease last year, which was a great time to do it, to be honest, even though she would have gotten a lower interest rate. And now she's going into way less competition on the buy side, depressed on pricing. I'm telling her right now, like, buy. If it's a stabilization, you can't ever time the bottom and you can't ever time the top. The only time you can time it is when it's behind you and you're like, oh, that was actually the bottom, or oh, that was actually the top. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And you
there
make your
go.
money on the purchase price.
Yeah,
That is always
100%.
Yeah. So is now a good time to get a good
Yep.
purchase price? Yes.
I hear it all the time. It's we'll go to yours after, but I hear it all the time. They're like, oh, they got lucky. No, they didn't. The buyer didn't get lucky. They're like, I can't believe they're making so much profit. I want to offer less. I'm like, well, they bought at the right time and they're selling it at the right time. That's not luck.
That's where a lot of people have trouble selling at the right time.
Yeah.
So, anyways, this is a good article.
Okay, good.
My second one, okay.
All right. Do you want to go the second one first?
Kind of, but
Okay,
I'm
let's-
going to just stick with this one. Manhattan and Brooklyn rents flatten after record surge.
Okay.
Didn't think I would be saying that in 2022, but maybe I did.
Yeah.
And here we are at the end after a record surge in rentals.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you look back on 2021 and all of this year, everybody was like, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. The rents are so competitive. Like everybody's getting bid up. These are higher rents than we've ever paid. And even pre-COVID. And nobody saw it stopping, slowing down.
Yeah.
I would say that this is finally. Remember, speaking of news, months ago, they were talking about how the median price for an apartment was at the high.
Yeah.
The highest it's ever been.
Yeah.
So now it's flattening out. I would say that it's a bit of a trap, actually, to start renting. Yes, you get a better rent, but historically, they're still very high.
Yeah,
So what is
very
the right
high.
thing to do
Yeah.
is to save your money and purchase.
Yeah.
Buying versus renting is probably better than it ever has been.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like it's one of those things that we kind of talked about it, is that there was a huge influx of people that have never lived in New York City that got 30 to 50% below what it would normally be during COVID because nobody was here. Everyone was in Florida. They were working from home. They didn't need to be in the office. So they got rid of their lease. Then they flooded back to the city and they were like, oh, wait, there's nothing available. And that just drove all the pricing up. And ironically enough, personally, I think the people that moved here that have never been here and they were here at crazy low pricing are the ones that moved away. So now it's kind of the New Yorkers who work here or enjoy their time here. So I can't see it going lower by a lot, if at all, but I can definitely see why it's stabilized. It just makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the biggest thing. We actually talked about this last week in regards to home builders. So home builders, they're actually transitioning from sales to rentals. So a home builder will put together a condominium, and instead of getting the best price or the best materials, the best everything, and then selling it at a crazy price, it just didn't make sense. And the reason being is because of labor and supplies have gone up where there's no profit, so they went to rentals. So this is very interesting. This is from HUD and the United States Census Bureau, is that there was a 6% rise in new home sales. So it's very ironic because we were actually talking with an owner. So month over month, new home sales have went up. So new home sales are usually more expensive and
Like new construction.
new construction.
Right.
But we were talking about they were building rentals, that the trend was to rentals instead of sales because they couldn't make a profit. So it's very interesting that HUD and the Census Bureau came out that it was a 6% rise in sales, new construction sales. We were talking to someone who bought land in 2020 and she's building right now in Florida. That's a perfect example. It's a new home. It could be, say, a new home where it's an individual home, or it could be a subdivision where there's many homes. But I saw on Long Island a subdivision going up where it was like an old country club that they converted into housing. Those are new home sales. So it'll be interesting to see that trend.
Yeah, very interesting.
New home
I would
sales.
say that
In New York City, it's very different than the rest of the country when it comes to new home sales.
It'll be
new
interesting
development.
if they start building all these rentals that if, in a couple of years from now, we're talking about the conversions into condos.
Yeah.
And
Like they did in the financial district.
and it's interesting that you mentioned that,
Yeah.
quality-wise, because maybe, at a certain point, you're better off buying than renting, but the quality of the home is, not what it used to be.
Yeah, 100%. There is a major difference in rental buildings as opposed to condo buildings.
Well, that's kind of funny that you say that because this article is Can NYC incentivize office to residential conversions again? Let me say that again so it sounds a little
Please.
better. Can NYC incentivize office to residential conversions again? So
Quick
that
answer is yes.
Yes, of course they can, and they will. And
Yeah.
they are trying to come up with the right budget for it on how they can incentivize turning some of these commercial spaces and converting it into residential. I would say that everybody is kind of talking about that.
Oh, yeah.
I was meeting
Such
with
a big
seller
opportunity.
recently, and that's what they were talking about. Everybody
Yeah.
is mentioning, like, wow, there is low-hanging fruit.
Yep.
There isn't enough residential in New York City, so how are they going to get it? They're going to take some of these old office buildings and convert it. And, to make the numbers work, just like you mentioned, maybe the quality is going to go down a little bit.
Ironically enough, just to throw this in, is that probably the most expensive thing is actually getting approved for the building, the plans, the engineering, the architecture, and putting up the building.
Right.
So the conversion is way less expensive. It's
Yeah.
already existing.
Yeah. Wouldn't
The
it be
plumbing, the
good?
electrical.
Imagine the developers out there that are...
They are hungry for those.
Exactly. And if they become the one who does it best,
Yeah.
I mean,
They're going to make a killing.
yeah, because New York City is going to bless you and
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
oh yeah, we'll easily
Tax
make
credits.
this conversion and you
Yep.
can do whatever you need to do.
Well,
And you can do it at the least amount of money.
Yeah, they did it in the financial district, and the financial district had, I think it was 10,000 people around 2009. By the time it was 2015, it was like 60,000.
Wow.
So it 5x'd the amount, and it was because of all these buildings that they couldn't come back after 9/11, so they converted it. And then we're actually in Midtown on 42nd Street, and there's buildings that are completely empty, and they're 40, 50 stories.
Yeah.
They're gigantic footprints in Midtown.
And I would have to say, not on a negative note,
Don't go there, Eric.
but another part of the news is that nobody's going back into the office. And
Yeah.
they're talking about the struggles of commercial real estate. Well, this is a gift for the commercial real estate owners in New York City,
Yeah.
where they can work with the New York State and the government here to, provide housing. It's like, do the right thing.
Yeah.
It's going to
Well,
be
I think
really-
it's Silicon Valley. San Francisco is going to have conversions. I think LA is going to have conversions. Anywhere where there is a large populace that's expensive to live in, and they just move to Arizona, Utah, places where they didn't need to be in the office. New York
Yeah.
City is a perfect example. You don't need to be there in a lot of the financial sector. Sales maybe, but I think there will be a resurgence maybe in 5 years, but it's going to be smaller offices. It's not going to be
Yeah.
gigantic. We have 30 floors.
I mean, we're in this WeWork today. Granted, it's between Christmas and New Year's, but there's no one here.
Yeah, we're the only ones giving you the news.
Yeah. I would also say that it is incredible that nobody understands, but it is a testament to New York that people who still work from home, want to live in New York City.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of people that moved out and went to the suburbs and started their families. They got more space. They drive a car now. There's so many people that moved in, younger generation. They don't even have to go into the office.
Yeah.
I would say they're willing to go in the office. They're accepting the hybrid version.
Yeah.
But, they still want to live in New York City.
Yeah.
They're still willing to pay sky-high rents
Yeah.
to live in New York City.
Yeah.
So that really says, the lifestyle here
Yep.
is not like,
Well, listen.
it's very attractive.
I was on Long Island. It's very
I guess
different. It is
lesser
not.
of the evils.
Oh my gosh, I was there and I said, just the driving and everything else, I could just see all these young people that come out of college and they need to experience New York City for at least 3 to 4 years, 5 years, whatever, before moving to or staying outside of the city. Say Hoboken. I know Jersey City is very popular, Weehawken, West New York, all along the Hudson on the Jersey side is just exploding. And I bike around there, and there's new properties going up because it's less taxes. They got a better view. They got more space and things like that. So it'll be very interesting.
What would be nice, just to wrap this up?
Yeah.
Is if your office faced Times Square.
Wow.
Then we could come here and have a little bottle of Martinelli's sparkling cider on New Year. Bring in 2023.
Exactly. I'll be the only one here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, there's number 9. And
In the books.
yes, exactly. And any articles you want us to talk about, send it over. And we're definitely going to be hitting it hard. At least the first 4 are going to be by myself while Mr. Bottomley
I
heads
think
to...
that needs to be a whole separate section. You better not do episode
I'm going to
10.
mess it up. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to take it over.
Bon
All right.
voyage.
Exactly.